Welcome back into the workshop, and what do we have here? Well, as you can see, I've got my straight edge, soon to be straighter edge here on the piece of steel. The longer one, which is 1.6 meters long, the longer one that I'm using in the attempts to make the drill guides for my 345 method and the bench dog positions, using 100mm spacings rather than the 96, which is more familiar to people using the MFT top type of setup. I don't need, nor do I really want my setup to be directed or compelled to the 96mm increments. I want 100mm, and I'm going down, I'm making all effort to actually achieve that. Hence why I got this heavy bit of steel. Well, it is fairly heavy actually. 40 by 10 to allow me to tap and thread in my drill guides, because they're going to be used in many different ways in many different situations, not just the 345ing method, not just the 20mm, the 100mm spacings. So the other day I went down and got the steel, got a couple of other items, and I thought I would get the steel rule, which is 1 meter long, so that I could better etch the accurate measurements in a running sense. That, like you use the rule itself, you don't make multiple individual measurements, you have a running measurement from your rule. So I got the rule. Then today I went down to get a set of feeler gauges. This set here, quite a comprehensive little set of feeler gauges they are too, by the way. And I went to the shop that sells them, of course, that's what you do, I suppose, and then I proceeded to buy a lot of other things. And one of those other things was another ruler of 100mm long type, steel rule. And now, come and have a zoom in with me. What's that? That's a hole. That's a hole. Oh, that's it. That's at 300, 400, 500. Oh, isn't that interesting? Well, to be fair and be transparent, it didn't come with those holes. I've put them in there. I've drilled them into the rule. I was lucky enough that the rule does have a very, very light etching for those marks. So I got one of these spring-loaded center punches, which I've got, and I located it on the etch, slid it out until it naturally stopped at the end of the etching to give me both lateral and vertical, effectively, the XY position for my center punch. Gave it a couple of pushes and taps, and then went over to the drill press and used a very fine center punch, a very fine one, not this one by the way, because that's a opposite of very fine center punch, because the pilot's, the main drill part, is really, really fine. I don't know what size, but it'd be maybe 1mm. In fact, come this way. This one right here, center bit with the tiniest little pilot hole. Much easier drilling that little hole with the center punch. Gosh, brain not working. With the center drill bit than trying to get a 1mm drill bit to drill, because you're going to snap those suckers. So I've drilled those out at the 100mm, meaning if I use 2 of these, can I not then replace this big cumbersome bit of steel? And the answer is sort of. One answer could be, oh, yes, you could. What a good idea. Man, Dave, you're really helpful to me. And the other one is, whoa, be careful. The need to get everything as accurate as possible is our ultimate goal. It may not be achieved, but it's our ultimate goal. We're working towards it. If we fall just short of it, we've still got a pretty damn good setup. This would allow you to get a pretty damn good setup. This would allow you to get probably a better, pretty damn good setup. And the reason why I make the difference is that if I had two of these thin, very thin rules, it's very easy to get your registration pin, be whatever it is, whatever size, to wobble. Simply because there's not enough material for the pin to go through, the registration pin to go through, to align properly. And it will do this. How do I know? Well, many years ago, and I've talked about this ad nauseum, I made the equivalent of that. The steel is probably 3 millimeters thick. And that was the one thing I found. Yes, the holes were neat for the pins I was using. They were really, really well gauged. And believe it or not, the pins that I've did use and still use were actually the main shaft, the axles off of printers. You take the wee rollers off, the wee rubber rollers, and the pin happened to be 3 millimeters exactly. And they aligned with the 3 millimeter holes I had laser cut in those steel strips really, really well. It was almost an interference fit. It was definitely a friction fit. Anyway, there was still a tiny bit of misalignment, and it's the ability to spot, in that case drill, those holes that eventually made the holes sloppy and tolerance just went out the window. Boo-hoo. This is what I'm trying to prevent by doing this, because the drill guides that I'm using never get touched by the actual drilling end of a drill bit. In fact, they are only touched by the shaft of a center bit like this, and can spin freely. Thank you very much. The tolerance is really, really good, and I can increase the tolerance, and I'll talk about that in another day, or decrease the tolerance or increase the fidelity of the, make it better fit. Yeah, so we've got a method for doing that. Easy, it's super, super easy one. And anyway, so these guides will last forever if I use that sort of approach. Thank you very much. Off to the races, as they say. This, no, you can't. But with a fine enough hole, you could locate your center punch, bang, bang, and you've got your mark in your melamine or whatever surface that then can permit the tip of your what do you call it, the drill for the 20 millimeter bench dog holes to then locate in, and then you can drill through it. Way, that has got to be a really good way of doing it, honestly. It's just getting the pins accurate enough to go through 2 thicknesses of this sort of rule. That's my concern. Otherwise, have at it. The other thing you can do, if you can get it located neatly enough, and it's possible, is you only use these to scratch a mark. Also possible. That's how I'm anticipating marking the straight edge. And this is why I drilled it this way. I didn't have any idea of using it as a 3-4-5ing type of approach until I drilled it, and I thought, hang on, what have I just created? Anyway, I'm going to use this set of these sets of holes to etch my steel in its correct place with the diamond tip etching tool. Bang bang, etched through the ink that'll be on the steel, and that allows me to get the fidelity that I need this way. I would, and I might, do another set of holes with a even finer centre bit to see whether I can get that tip to better locate this. As it stands right now, if I put it in that hole, there it is. It's got a tiny bit of wobble. Oh, there it's got a lot of wobble. Let's just do this in a different way. I'll put the rule over another rule because it will give a hard surface. That's the tip going through. You can, whoops, it's got a tiniest little bit of, it's not much, but it would be nice to have no wobble. So a tiny wee bit of movement there, still pretty good. But if I can come down to this point, zooming in, if I can come down to this point, do another set of holes, it might be better. Here's the other question. I know sometimes it's hard to follow the conversation because as it's coming to me, I'm talking, and that's probably, it's not scripted. You can be assured of that. You may wish it was, but you're not getting it. This ruler, the one that I just purchased and have drilled, has got a very, very fine etching. This one has got a little bit more of a definitive etch, defining etch. Maybe, not much though, to be fair, maybe I come down to this one and drill this rule with the finer etch drill bit. It's not much difference. Not much at all. So maybe I leave this one unadulterated and then have at it with this one. Yeah. Well, that was my thoughts. When I checked this with the optical side of the center punch here, and you could discern a little bit of, it's very hard to say whether it was misaligned, but I perceived that there was some misalignment. So it could well be that, this is as good as I can get it, that the punch was not being held correct and it was biasing itself one way or the other. You can't pick it up with the naked eye on the holes. Well, no, they look pretty good. But when you have the optical thing, magnifying advantage, yeah, there could be. So, the question then is, needs to be asked, how accurate can I get the rule and transfer the mark any other way? I can't see that this drilling approach would be, I'll reword that. I can't see how trying to come off of the ruler onto your steel is more accurate than the holes drilled therein. And it may be that this is a cheaper way of going for taking a piece of steel down to, or rather get the laser cutting companies to laser cut some thin pieces of steel, because their charge rate is on the number of holes and the thickness of the material. The thicker the material, the more expensive it is, where they can punch something through very quickly and cheaply in a thin bit of metal. You could get a wide bit of thin metal, I don't know, and they will cut it. And I'm wondering whether when they manufactured those strips up there, that they actually, and rather than using a guillotine, which I don't think they would have done, that the actual steel was cut to dimension with the laser itself, because it is really accurate as well, just the physical dimension there. I think that I've got the width and the length. I might Werner calipered those as well, and just because I was checking, because I've never had that sort of thing done before, and yeah, they're pretty damn accurate, all right. Yeah, this was some time. This is quite a few years ago. I had those done. They said their accuracy is 0.2 of a mil. Well, now we're talking about something that's we're going below 2 mil for refinement. But the point is, it's 0.2, and when they move at 100 millimeters, it's still 100 millimeters, not tolerance of plus or minus 0.2. They, yeah, it was a hard one. I thought, oh, well, that's their tolerance. No, that's what they can cut down to. But every time they move across, it's exactly 100 millimeters, if that was what you wanted. Yeah, so. Oh, dear. I don't know what we go to try and do something in the workshop, which is all about wood. But it was actually the track saw. The only reason I'm worrying about this is the track saw accuracy, and I wanted the damn thing dead nuts accurate. Otherwise, it would annoy me. Okay, that's it. I'm going to do some grinding. I watched a couple of videos last night, and they showed the lapping method and the 3-bar lapping method to be able to achieve straight edges. I'm not going quite to an engineering degree of accuracy, but I do want to get it to... I want it straighter than it is currently. I'm down to about 0.2 of a millimeter. There or thereabouts. I want to get it down to half that at least. So 0.1 of a mil. Still quite a bit in straight edge terms, but if I can get it below 0.1 of a mil, I would be happy. Thank you very much. That's about 0.1 of a millimeter is 25 thou. Is that right? That's something like that. No, that's not right. 2.5 thou. No, that can't be right. Anyway, whatever it is, it's a lot finer than what I've got at the moment. And it's achievable just simply using a grinder. How do I know? Well, I've been there before on small sections. I've never done something this long before. So I am going down to grind a snot load of steel off of here. Well, pointing camera in the right direction. A lot of steel off of this point here, and a small section down there. And I've got my new set of feeler gauges to help. Mainly reason I went down to the shop to get these is that I couldn't read the marks on the other one. I can caliper them, and it's pretty accurate. But my other ones were both rusty, which is not good for gauge, and some of them, the feeler gauges that I wanted, were bent. So they've obviously been used for doing tappets or something, and the tappets have hammered the living bejesus out of them and bent them. So I wanted to get a new set anyway. They're cheap enough, and yeah, that's what I've done. Rightio, waffly old one again this morning, but what else do you expect? If you can persevere with some of the waffle, you may occasionally get a gem. I think this is a bit of a gem, actually. And I'm sure other people have done it. guarantee that they've done it. But if not, well, now you know. Get a rule that's etched, not simply printed. Find a method to accurately locate your center punch, and then use the very fine center drill bits to drill your hole, and then you've got your locating position for your scribes. Waffle all the way through that to get to that. I think it's a good idea. Still building the heavy ones though, but there you go. Okay, better get and do something, hadn't I? Otherwise that'll be the rest of the day gone. Okay, see you in the next one now. Bye.